So very oddly, on the web, there has been this discussion about DHT relative to male sexual function, and there's two camps, but oddly, there's one camp that suggests and actually confidently contends that DHT isn't really necessary and doesn't have some large interplay with penile erection, libido, penile reflexes, sensation, orgasm, climax, quality, and general sexual function in men. There's a small contingent of awkwardly loud individuals that repeatedly use the phrase DHT is a trash hormone, and they've got like minions that follow like this dogmatic view of DHT. Anyway, I decided to ask arguably the most intelligent, most information dense artificial intelligence platform, ChatGPT, what it thinks about DHT and penile erection, penile reflex, libido, sexual function, and males post puberty, right? Because the typical argument is DHT is really not useful past puberty. It is during that critical phase, but after which it's a trash hormone. In addition, all the scientific literature related to DHT and male sexual function, there's no debate actually. DHT is critical for male sexual function, period. But, to entertain the argument, I asked ChatGPT what it thought the interplay was and how critical DHT is regarding male sexual function, and this is what it had to say. Also, though, you guys have been telling me to respond to this fucking geek who has a channel based solely on DHT being a trash hormone and Finasteride being like this golden drug that everyone should take. In fact, he has a phrase that says like a Finasteride a day keeps the hair loss doctor away or something ridiculous. This isn't a full response video, so like if this is going to ruffle some feathers, this guy's going to have a full-blown fucking aneurysm when I do the actual response video. I figured maybe let's do a precursor and include ChatGPT's answer to what is the interplay between DHT and male sexual function. All right, before we start the video, guys, coupon codes this weekend for product number one, supercharged dopamine, probably the most advanced dopamine hacking course you're ever going to find on the internet. 20% off. Code for that is 20 now. Cortex Stack, fast onsetting stimulant, dynamine and teocrine in it. 25% off. Code for that is 25 Cortex. Torque Stack, all day mental energy, replacing people's modafinil, highly motivation centered. 35% off. Code for that is 35 Torque. Lastly, I'm a consultant and a coach on TRT, nootropics, sexual dysfunction, erectile dysfunction, libido optimization. You can hire me in under a minute at livecortex.com. Okay, so again, this isn't a full response video to, I don't even sure what this guy's name is, the guy that has a channel called Hair Cafe. I will do a full appropriate scientific literature-based response where we're breaking down everything, including the anecdotals out there on the web, but stuff that I'm not going to tell you guys about now, like that you should be prepared for a big, long breakdown. But apparently, you guys have been telling me to respond to this geek because he did this video about me specifically regarding my video, which was DHT is a trash hormone ? In which I went into the facts that DHT is in fact not a trash hormone, but I think it's ridiculous that anyone would think that. But you'll get to see like how pro Finasteride this guy is and why he probably thinks the way that he does. I'm not sure that he actually believes the bullshit that's coming out of his mouth, but I don't know. Without further ado, let's get into the intro of his video.
Welcome back to the Hair Cafe Cinematic Universe, hair loss switchers. Remember, a Finasteride a day keeps the hair transplant doctor away. So, looks like it is time to do some kind of response video yet again, Tunes. This time to a gentleman named Cortex Labs. I don't really know anything about this guy's channel, but having now seen a little bit of his content, I get the impression that he's one of those influencers that mostly talks about TRT, and he speculates about certain supplements that have purported nootropic or performance-enhancing capabilities.
Okay, now we don't speculate about supplements. We read the scientific literature regarding supplements and discuss client anecdotals regarding nootropic compounds with known mechanisms of action that affect neurotransmitters. Regarding TRT, we do the same essentially and talk about the science-based approaches to optimizing male sexual function relative to testosterone, but also specifically relative to HRT and HRT+.
So, he reminds me of other similar channels like Vigorous Steve or Ryan Russo that are sometimes defined as biohacking channels. Anyways, as with most YouTubers who tout the use of androgenetic supplements for
Before we continue, for the next 30 seconds, I want you guys to watch this guy's eyes and recognize that he doesn't even have the originality or the cognitive performance to be delivering this set of statements, position on this without a fucking teleprompter, okay? He's reading from a screen. Watch his eyes.
Strength gains. It is only a matter of time before they start singing the praises of what to them is the ultimate androgen, dihydrotestosterone, DHT. However, in order for them to promote this exalted hormone that they find so sacred, they first have to find a way way to justify defending it in the face of all the negative effects DHT actually causes in adults. So Cortex Labs is no exception to this. He has taken a very strong interest in the subject of DHT, and he recently uploaded a video titled, quote, "DHT is a trash hormone?" unquote. The title of this video would have been absolutely perfect if only he had replaced the question mark with a period or even an exclamation mark, because DHT, of course, is a trash hormone, as I have proven many, many times.
Okay, so we're going to stop there. And again, we'll do the full breakdown in response to this fucking geek in due time. But I want to cut to ChatGPT's response regarding DHT and erectile function for men. This is what I asked it, okay? I started off by saying, explain the interplay between DHT, penile erections, libido, genital sensation, orgasm sensation, and erectile reflexes. Now, that last one is actually a critical component to how DHT derivatives like Proviron, Primobolan, Masteron, how DHT cream, how testosterone cream affects specifically like the climax mechanics of a male. Okay, so keep that in mind. And ChatGPT's response to this was the following. Dihydrotestosterone is a hormone derived from testosterone, primarily through the action of the enzyme 5-alpha reductase. It plays a crucial role in various aspects of male sexual function, including penile erections, libido, sexual desire, genital sensation, orgasm sensation, and erectile reflexes. Now, this is the general overview, which, by the way, I told it to break down further, so we'll get to that. Number one, penile erections. DHT contributes to the maintenance of penile tissue health and the regulation of blood flow to the penis. It acts on androgen receptors in smooth muscle cells and blood vessels of the penis, promoting the relaxation of smooth muscles and increasing blood flow, which is essential for achieving and maintaining an erection. Number two, libido, or sexual desire. DHT, along with testosterone, influences sexual desire by acting on the brain regions involved in sexual motivation and arousal. It stimulates the production of neurotransmitters such as dopamine, which play a role in regulating libido. Genital sensation. DHT is involved in the sensitivity of genital tissues, including the penis. Androgen receptors present in nerve endings of the genitals respond to DHT, contributing to the sensation of touch and sexual pleasure. Those of you that understand, or God forbid have had PFS, or post-finasteride syndrome, which is sexual dysfunction that is caused directly by finasteride, understand that one of the main symptoms is a muting of your genital sensation. Orgasm sensation. DHT may play a role in the intensity of orgasm sensation. While the exact mechanisms are not fully understood, androgens like DHT influence the activity of neurotransmitters and receptors involved in the orgasmic response. I can break that down scientifically because it is true. And here's one of the most important things, which lines up with a lot of the anecdotals of people raising DHT, modifying DHT using cream, Proviron, sometimes even test prop, just trying to convert more of their tests to DHT. DHT influences the neural pathways responsible for erectile reflexes, such as the bulbar cavernous reflex. This reflex, triggered by the tactile stimulation of the genitals, involves the contraction of muscles surrounding the base of the penis and plays a role in maintaining penile rigidity during sexual activity. DHT contributes to the proper functioning of these reflexes by acting on androgen receptors in the relevant neural circuits. Again, I've described somewhat recently on a live stream an anecdotal of a male that has been consuming our content that started taking Proviron, and suddenly the climax reflex was a lot more potent. Like the ejaculate sort of pumped out in an aggressive fashion, and the intensity of the orgasm was substantially better than normal. Overall, DHT is a potent androgen, plays a multifaceted role, blah, 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 blah. So I said to it, okay, because that's pretty general, expand on each of these numbers in detail. ChatGPT said, certainly. Number one, penile erections. DHT is a potent androgen that contributes to the regulation of penile tissue, health, and function. Androgen receptors are present in the smooth muscle cells and blood vessels of the penis. Okay, this is something I've contended for quite some time because it's very clear if you understand penile anatomy and physiology. When DHT binds to these receptors, it initiates a cascade of events leading to the relaxation of smooth muscles in the penile arteries and corpus cavernosum, allowing increased blood flow into the penis. This increased blood flow, combined with reduced venous outflow, results in the engorgement and stiffening of the penis, leading to an erection. DHT also helps maintain the structural integrity of penile tissues, which is crucial for the maintenance of erectile function. Now, let's see what it says expanding upon libido. DHT, along with testosterone, plays a role in modulating sexual desire by acting on androgen receptors in the brain. In the hypothalamus, DHT stimulates the production of gonadotropin-releasing hormone, or GnRH, which in turn regulates the secretion of luteinizing hormone and follicle-stimulating hormone from the pituitary gland. LH stimulates the Leydig cells in the testes to produce testosterone, which be converted to DHT in peripheral tissues. DHT and testosterone influence the activity of neurotransmitters such as dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine in brain regions involved in sexual function and arousal, thereby influencing libido. Genital sensation. DHT plays a role in the sensitivity of genital tissues, including the penis and scrotum. Androgen receptors are present in nerve endings of these tissues, and DHT binding to these receptors modulates sensory perception. Again, you're going to find if you go on a DHT derivative, or if you start increasing DHT by increasing 5-alpha reductase conversion of test to dihydrotestosterone, you get on test cream, you start optimizing that system, you're going to find better sensation. DHT contributes to the sensation of touch and sexual pleasure by enhancing nerve conduction and neurotransmitter release in response to sexual stimuli. Orgasm sensation. All right, while the exact mechanisms are not fully understood, DHT may influence the intensity of orgasm sensation. Androgens like DHT can affect the activity of neurotransmitters and receptors involved in orgasmic response, such as dopamine, oxytocin, which is like heavily implicated or heavily involved from the spinal cord all the way down to the nerves that control sensation in genital sensation, as well as opioid receptors. Now, here's the critical one, right? DHT influence, so erectile reflexes. DHT influences the neural pathways responsible for erectile reflexes, including the bulbar cavernous reflex. The bulbar cavernous reflex is initiated by tactile stimulation of the genitals, which triggers sensory impulses through the pudendal nerve to the sacral spinal cord. In response, motor neurons in the sacral spinal cord send afferent signals back to the genital muscles, causing the contraction of muscles surrounding the base of the penis. DHT, acting on androgen receptors in the neural circuits involved in this reflex, contributes to the proper functioning of erectile reflexes, thereby aiding in the maintenance of penile rigidity during sexual activity. Then I ask it, great, what does DHT do at the tissue level of the male penis? Because this is one of the things that I had discovered is very useful and that not many people were thinking about relative to sexual function, which is why I became like the #1 like sexual optimization or sexual dysfunction like coach on the web. Because I'm looking at stuff that other people aren't looking at, especially regarding androgen receptor binding at the penile tissue, specifically DHT. Smooth muscle relaxation. DHT binds androgen receptors located on smooth muscle cells in the penis. Upon binding, DHT initiates a signaling cascade that leads to the relaxation of these smooth muscles. This relaxation is crucial for increasing blood flow to the penis during sexual arousal, process essential for achieving and maintaining erection. Now, we'll skip around here because number 4 is actually pretty critical, and I've talked about this before. There's actually studies on how DHT modifies nitric oxide. Nitric oxide production. NO is a key signaling molecule involved in the penile erection. DHT can stimulate the production of NO by endothelial cells lining the penile blood vessels. Nitric oxide, in turn, promotes vasodilation and relaxation of smooth muscle cells, further enhancing penile blood flow and erection. Modulation of connective tissue. Okay, DHT influences the composition and properties of connective tissue with the penis. It regulates the synthesis of extracellular matrix components such as collagen, elastin, which contribute to the structural support and elasticity of penile tissue. Proper modulation of connective tissue by DHT is essential for maintaining penile rigidity during erection and overall penile function. Now, I just want to skip this so this video doesn't have to be 30 minutes long. You know, the proper response scientific video will be probably longer than that. And lastly, this is what I asked it. I said, are these effects only present in puberty, or do they expand into adulthood? Because this is the predominant argument of like the DHT is a trash hormone proponents, you know, these weirdos, and obviously, you know, Dork Cafe. Is DHT relevant in adulthood relative to sexual function in the male penis? Let's see what the most intelligent, most information-dense artificial intelligence platform on the fucking planet has to say about that. The effects of DHT on the male penis are not limited to puberty, but continue into adulthood. While DHT is prominently involved in the development of the male genitalia during puberty, its influence persists throughout life and remains essential, you know the word essential, for the maintenance of penile function and sexual health in adulthood. Here's how. Number 1, continued androgen receptor activation. The androgen receptors in the penis, allow DHT to exert its effect on smooth muscle cells, fibroblasts, endothelial cells, and sensory nerve endings within the penis. Therefore, DHT continues to regulate processes such as smooth muscle relaxation, which is, by the way, like #1 critical component in maintaining erections, blood flow modulation, tissue maintenance, and sensory perception in the adult penis, not the 16-year-old. Maintenance of erectile function. DHT contributes to the regulation of penile blood flow and tissue health, which are critical for erection function regardless of age. In adulthood, DHT helps sustain penile erections by promoting adequate blood flow to the erectile tissues and maintaining the structural integrity of penile tissue. The structural integrity of the tissue is maintained predominantly by DHT. Dysregulation of DHT levels or androgen receptor signaling in adulthood can lead to erectile dysfunction or other sexual issues. Well, of course it can. You know, on Finasteride's label, as well as the 2000, I believe it's the 2016 lawsuit that was filed against the makers of Propecia. It is stated very clearly that it causes or can cause erectile dysfunction. Oh, and by the way, a former Merck marketing vice president, his name is Paul Howes, was interviewed in this legal context. And the question was the following. All right, so if you knew internally, this whole lawsuit was about the fact that Merck knew internally that there was serious sexual dysfunction as well as depression. Many men actually committed suicide on finasteride, but they ultimately were allowed to hide some of that evidence, and Reuters got a hold of that evidence and was able to post an article about it. The plaintiff's lawyer said, okay, so you knew internally that if the sexual adverse events were prolonged or lengthened or never went away, that would be something that would impact sales in a negative way, right? And then the Merck VP goes, yes. Back to ChatGPT, libido and sexual desire. DHT along with testosterone influences libido and sexual desire throughout life. Throughout life, not just when you're 17 or 13, but throughout life. Androgen receptors in the brain respond to DHT, affecting the neural circuits involved in sexual motivation and arousal. Therefore, DHT plays a role in modulating sexual desire not only during puberty, but also into adulthood. Overall, the effects of DHT on the male penis extend beyond puberty and persist into adulthood. DHT remains crucial, crucial for the maintenance of penile function, erection health, libido, and sexual satisfaction throughout a man's life. If you guys are interested in reading the Reuters article about how the U.S. court let Merck hide secrets relative to depression and sexual dysfunction regarding finasteride, you can just go search or Reddit search this title, but ultimately I'll post this link to the explanation of the lawsuit and the uncovering of the fact that Merck knew this caused serious sexual dysfunction in men down in the description of this video. You might want to give this a read if you're interested in this. So look, guys, there's always going to be people like this. I mean, the guy said a pill of finasteride a day, or however he phrased it, keeps the hair doctor away, or some ridiculous fucking phrase that he said in the beginning. There's always going to be people like this, right? Extremely biased, unwilling to look at the other side. This guy probably had hair loss, got on Propecia. It did not affect him sexually, or maybe it does, and he's not divulging that. But he'd already started a channel called Hair Cafe where he talks about hair. So at this point, even if it was starting to affect him or did affect him sexually, there's no way that he's going to go back on what he said. He's got a fucking channel, right? But you're not going to go back on what is probably a year or two, maybe more years of content saying DHT is a trash hormone if you suddenly have sexual dysfunction. I'm just going to put that out there. We don't know if this guy has sexual function optimal or not, but it could be the case that he's absolutely fine, because I'm willing to look at the other side. Plenty of men take finasteride and do not have sexual disturbances. This is true. Those anecdotals are out there, and I'm willing to look at that. But I've got 55 and counting, and probably after this video, and now that I'm focusing a lot more on DHT because this is a significant fucking problem out there, more men that will come to me with problems post finasteride that are close to fucking killing themselves as a result of both the depression and the ED and lack of libido. I think it's important to dispel bullshit on the web. I don't typically like to do videos in a negative fashion, but when a guy does content about me, which has a channel which is based on attacking people, that is saying ridiculous things relative to DHT that, again, provably are false, I think it's important to get an artificial intelligence platform to then go pull all the information, these disparate pieces of information regarding DHT and male sexual function from studies and from the web, to actually tell us what it thinks about it. Forget about my experience, right? Forget about my clients' experiences. Forget about all the guys that are on finasteride or post-taking finasteride that have ED and can't date and are feeling depressed and are close to suicide. Forget about it, right? Because according to this guy, those guys are full of shit. According to this guy, those guys are making it up. According to this guy, the effects that they're having that are ruining their fucking lives are placebo or something. So I think it's important to dispel bullshit right away when it comes out of people's mouths. That said, I'll do a full scientific breakdown on the pitfalls of Propecia and finasteride, as well as other 5-alpha reductase inhibitors regarding the male sexual system, which will include a bunch of scientific literature, lots of anecdotals, lots of people's individual experiences. We will do a full breakdown on that drug. Suffice to say, though, look, if you're losing hair, either accept your fate. If you're on TRT or making up DHT, the sexual function is good, or find other ways. There are plenty of other ways. I mean, TB500 is promoted for hair growth and has a lot of anecdotals behind it that it can promote hair growth. That's a peptide, right? That's not going to inhibit your DHT. There are plenty of other things that can promote hair growth, not the least of which is photobiomodulation on the scalp, that do not inhibit DHT systemically. In our future, I believe we will have drugs to take in these situations that prevent hair loss and foster hair regrowth that do not mess with the sexual system via inhibiting the reduction of testosterone to DHT. So those of you maybe waiting for that, hang tight, be patient, or rock a beard, go bald, and, you know, be a fucking gangster. If it was me and my genetics made it so that I lost hair very easily with high levels of DHT, I would honestly just try to biohack it otherwise so that I didn't lose hair. And if that was impossible, I would just deal with it. Knowing what I know with all the clients that I've dealt with that have had life-ruining side effects from finasteride, I wouldn't fucking touch the stuff with a 10-foot pole. If you need my help on TRT, PFS, hormone optimization, libido optimization, sexual dysfunction, erectile function, nootropics, dopamine restoration, a host of other things, you can hire me at underaminutelifecortex.com. I've got 3 slots for the bigger packages. I've also got a TRT consultation for folks and a few other options as well. Links are in the description of this video. All right, boys, it has been an absolute pleasure hanging out with you. Hope you're having a great day. Hope you have a great rest of your week. Much more content coming soon. Live stream tomorrow, Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern time, all right? Be tuned in. Make sure notifications are turned on in the channel here. And remember, one of the gauges that you can use in whether or not you should trust a YouTuber is, do they read from a fucking teleprompter? Or do they know their information so solid that they don't have to write it down in some complex paragraphed format so that they can not fuck up in the middle of delivering it? Are they so passionate about what they know, so passionate about the topic at hand that it's reinforced and embedded in their neurons so that they don't have to write it down and read it like a script, like a fucking newscaster? Anyway, that's all for now, folks. Subscribe to the channel if you would like the video. Please share the video if you would. Rock on, kick ass, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.